Can you hear me?
Yay, John! Woo!
Alright, so I want to talk to you about history of mathematics, one of those silos in developmental courses that we teach. So, I think first of all I want to tell you that this slide should be advancing. You can tell I practiced. I want to tell you where Yuba is. So, this is Sacramento, and this is San Francisco, and that's where Yuba is. So that's where Yuba College is. For those of you who don't know, it's rice fields, peach, almonds, those kinds of things. Anyway, why should we want to use history of mathematics in our courses that we teach? Because people do math. So we tell a story, and every topic has a story, and when we tell those stories, we'll connect our students with the people who did the math. But I think that may be more interesting than telling about the people and their biographies and tidbits, which are in themselves interesting, is doing some of the math that was done the way it was done. And so I think that's very interesting. And we can do it in all of our courses that we teach. If you're teaching arithmetic and you're introducing the place value, well, that's a perfect time to talk about other number systems, like the Maya number system, or the Babylonian or the Egyptian number system. When you're introducing history of math, it's always nice to use pictures. So this is a picture of a Roman abacus. This shows the evolution of the Indo-Arabic numerals that we use over the years. You can see how it slowly comes about. Maps are always good, so pictures are good. When we're teaching multiplication, for example, in arithmetic or pre-algebra, why not teach how other people did multiplication before? And some of these, my second grader uses that. So, it's pretty nice. You can do the same thing with division. And some of them are really fascinating. This is actually a long division problem. The steps are actually identical to our regular standard algorithm, but the numbers are written in a different place, and it looks like a sail, and people used to draw galleys and ships underneath them. So it's called the Galley Method. You can teach them how to find square roots. A square root just by looking at areas of squares. So, for example, if we want to find the square root of 500, we just want to find the side of a square that's area 500. So you can certainly fit in a square of area 400. So that would be our approximation. It's about 20 as the square root of 500. We'll get a bigger square that fits in there, 484. That's 22 on the side. And you can keep going. And this is a great place where students can practice adding fractions and adding mixed numbers, and at the same time approximating square roots. So the square root of 500 is about 22 and a quarter, and that's actually a pretty good approximation if you use a calculator. When we're teaching how to solve word problems using linear equations, we can talk about how people used to solve these problems without equations. The method of false position is one such way. The method of false position has you make a guess for an answer, which will probably lead to a wrong solution, but that's okay because the method tells you how to use that mistake to adjust your guess to get the right solution in the next step. And you can pick up examples of problems in context as well. And actually, problems don't change very much, haven't changed very much. Sometimes one guess isn't enough. Sometimes you need two guesses to solve these linear problems. But again, there's a very explicit way of using the errors that you get to solve them. And then you can solve them again using algebra. Why not? Quadratic problems go back a long, long way. We find examples all the way back to the Babylonians at least. And we can interpret their solutions as completing the square, even though they don't have any pictures or anything like that. If you're talking about quadratic stuff, you have, of course, to mention Al-Khwarizmi. And you have to mention his book, Algebra Blah, because in the title we have the word algebra that every one of you knows is how we got the word algebra. And he uses completing the square. I like looking at the Indian mathematics because their problems are always very, very colorful. This one is about bees buzzing around a jasmine. But it's a quadratic problem, and they solve by completing the square as well. In intermediate algebra, we talk about logarithms. Many of us will mention Napier, but there was another fellow, Yusbergi, who invented logarithms at the same time as Napier, independently. And of course, we all teach our base 10 common logs, and that's due to Henry Briggs. If you're interested in this, you might want to read up more if you'd like to. And this is an excellent, excellent general introduction to the history of math. Katz's book is a standard book that you could sit on your shelf. There are even books at intermediate algebra level. And of course, online, MacTutor is arguably the best online resource for history of mathematics. So, thank you.
Yay!